And now you can hear me, son of a bitch. I gotta stop fucking up. There's always something that I jack up right at the beginning, and what the hell? I don't know. So I'm gonna start over. I'm gonna start with something uplifting, creative, and worth seeing, because the rest of the clown world shit's gonna bring everything down. So let's get into that, because I really want y'all to see. This is the official video for DAX, for his Dear God, and something I would think is worth seeing, because I don't think I showed you all of this. The what do you call it? Official video for that. So here you go. Let's watch this, because I actually haven't watched it. Let me check this.
Dear God, there's a lot of questions that I have about the past, and I don't want to hear it from a human. You made it, so you're the last person that I'm ever gonna ask. Tell me what's real, tell me what's fake. Why is everything about you a debate? What's the point of love? Every time I showed it I was broken, and it's forced me just to only want to hate. Why is there only one you but multiple religions? Why does every conversation end in a...
Well, why is there only one of you and multiple religions? I've always wondered that, but...
That's forced me just to only want to hate. Why is there only one you but multiple religions? Why does every conversation end in a division? Why does everybody want to tell us how to live, but they won't listen to the same damn message that they get? Tell me how to feel, tell me what's wrong. I tried to call, pick up the phone, I'm on my own. Everybody said you coming back to man, why the hell's it taking so long? Why do I hurt? Why is there pain? Why does everything good always have to change? Why does everybody try to profit off another man's work, then destroy it just for monetary gain? Tell me, are you black or are you white? I don't even really care, I just really want to know what's right. They've been saying one thing, but I've been looking in the book, and it seems like they've been lying for my whole damn life. Tell me where I'm going. Is it heaven or hell? I just hope this message reads you well. Had a dream that I was walking with the devil. Don't remember how it feels, but I swear that I remember the smell. Looked me right into my eye and told me everything I wanted could be mine if I gave up and decided to sell. But I said I'd rather die than get mine. Now I'm here, no fear, one man with a story to tell. Dear God.
What the hell? This is freaking wicked. Loving it.
But I swear that I remember the smell. Looked me right into my eye and told me everything I wanted could be mine if I gave up and decided to sell. But I said I'd rather die than get mine. Now I'm here, no fear, one man with a story to tell. Dear God, where were you when I needed it? When I fucked up and repeated it? When they set the bar and I exceeded it? My life is like a book that they've been judging by a cover, but have never took the time to fucking read the shit. I remember telling you my goals and my dreams, but you didn't even answer, so I guess you didn't believe in it. I remember sitting with a gun to my head trying to ask you for some help, but I guess you didn't believe it. I don't want religion, I need that spirituality. I don't want a church, I need people to call a family. I don't want to tell my sins to another sinner just because he's got a robe and he went to some academy. I don't want to read it in the book, I want to hear it from you. Don't want to learn it in my school because they hiding the truth. Don't want to talk about it to another fucking you.
Don't want to learn it in school because they're hiding the truth.
The book, I want to hear it from you. Don't want to learn it in my school because they hiding the truth. Don't want to talk about it to another fucking human being, and that's the only reason that I even step in this booth. Dear God, how do I take this darkness and turn it into light? How do I believe in the concept where I speak to a man I've never seen with my own two eyes? How do I know that religion wasn't made just to separate the world and create a whole sky just to keep us in these chains while the rich get richer and the poor pray to you and perpetuate a lie? How do I know this ain't some big joke? How can I have faith when there is no hope? How the hell does one man have $100 billion and we still have people on the street that are broke? Man, There's a lot of things I wanna talk about and get off my chest. I can't sleep cause the devil won't let me rest. I used to know a fucking pastor in a church and I can still hear the screams of the kids you were fucking molest. Dear God, do you hear me? I'm supposed to fear you, but you ain't said shit. So maybe it's you who actually fears me. I don't know the answer, I just wanna see it clearly. So many lies, 1,000 different theories. All I wanna know is who really made religion, cause I know it wasn't you, but don't nobody believe me. No more lies, no more death. Bring back King, bring back X. Please, dear God, let their souls rest. Protect who's left and watch their steps. Dear God, I don't wanna have to ask you again. I just hope that you know that I'm still a believer. So I'll end this all by saying amen. It's DAX.
What? What the? So, holy crap. How did... Wow. That was... good. That was really good. That was really good. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. But I like a lot of what DAX does. Okay. So let me get this part. So I can see what y'all are saying. There's everybody. Chris, Andy Ban, Kristen, DK, Comics, Craig, because I wanted to tell you something. Y'all, the nerve pain's coming back. I'm getting pissed. So I'm going to be sending you the flag that I bought because I was going to send you the double, but they wanted it back to send me the correct flag. So I'm going to be sending you my flag that I bought, and then I'll just buy another one at some point. But I'm sending this to you as of last stream. And see if I can get that out tomorrow. Thank you for getting me your address and trusting me that I'm not going to show up at your house, just like DK and just like Papa. So, yeah. And of course, I started the stream with the freaking microphone muted. But that's the only thing that went wrong this time. So, holy shit. The correct flag that I bought, that they sent, the second flag of the one I'm sending you, Craig. I wanted to wait to open it so that y'all can see, because I'm not sure. This is Hodge Twins. I like it a lot. So, yeah, that's the other flag that I got that I saw it and I was like, oh, yep. So, I'm working on getting everything done so that I don't have giant blank walls behind me anymore. This is going to be one of the things on the wall. My American flag, made in America. Adam Calhoun said something that makes complete sense. You're wearing, well, I'm not wearing it. I'm wearing my Darth Vader, but, okay, DK, I'll see you. But if you're wearing something that's got the American flag on it, it should be made in America. It should not say made in China or Nicaragua or Venezuela. It's just, I agree with him, but I really agree with him on on that mentality. Something that's representing of the United States of America should be made in America. Hence, I get my flags from a specific company that's based in North Carolina, and seamstresses make the flag. The flag gets sent to me. I can buy the entire thing all put together, just have to take it out of the giant ass tube. It's already on the pole with everything done to just put it up. So that's one of the flags that I'm going to have behind me. It's going to be Duke's head, which I'll explain that. Not going to be Duke's actual head. Speaking of Duke, hey, I think somebody wants to come see you. Oh, he's probably asleep. He's sleeping a lot. Today is 1 month since Callie crossed the Rainbow Bridge, and it's been a yeah, Chris, definitely send it. Share that pic in Discord, because if it's a really fire flag that you're talking about, I want to put something else besides the American flag on my house. Just saying. So anyway, yeah, today seems like it was an off day because of that. I mean, it's exactly when it was like the exact like time of day and everything, that because it was 5:30. It's getting, and Chris, you're exactly right. It wouldn't be Sherry live if I didn't screw something up. One of these days I'm going to be able to do it, by the way. Son of a bitch. That shit hurts. It's the nerve pain. I told y'all, the ground crew, I've explained it in a video anyway. For back. Exactly, Chris. Exactly. But to me, I'm noticing something that is different, in that I'm not... How do I explain this? I was destroyed when Aries passed. And my veterinarian... I go to the best veterinary clinic in the entire frickin' city of Colorado Springs. They are the frigging best. And veterinarian mentioned something to me that I hadn't heard before. It was heart dog, which is a dog that's like really in... I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but it's gonna... I don't know how to explain it, but to lose a dog so close after losing Aries, because Aries was April 19th of 2022. So it's been a little over a year. And then now Callie. And the house feels off. house feels off. Empty? Not empty. Because Duke and Penny are still here. I don't know how to explain it. But I also don't want to cry. So I need to change the subject. Because I'm not a very pretty crier. I mean, it's already bad enough. But you don't want to add the to it. So we'll just skip that. Oh, it sucks, y'all. I'm going to be getting her paw print. So we got Aries here. Duke will be up here at some point. Hopefully not for at least 3 years. And then Callie's paw will be here. Penny's paw will be here. That's the plan. And I've got that is my dog's face. I've got the best freaking tattoo artist in the freaking city as well. So, doing good with that. But also, you get what you pay for, and it's not cheap. So, my next thing is something that popped up, I don't know, like half an hour ago. Frickin' Maine. Frickin' stupid ass.
Supreme Court does with that.
Yo, I didn't hit play. Okay.
Right now, we have just heard that in Maine, the Secretary of State has now disqualified former President Trump from the ballot there. Now we're talking about Colorado and Maine. We will see what the Supreme Court does. With that, let's bring in our panel. Former White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer, Olivia Beavers, congressional reporter for Politico, and Fox News senior political analyst Juan Williams. Ari, to you first on this news coming out of Maine, and then there were two still waiting.
By the way, Trump's back on the ballot for Colorado, which is good because he shouldn't have been off in the first place. He's back on it.
For the Supreme Court to decide on Colorado, what do you make of this latest decision?
What are the Democrats so afraid of? Are they afraid of democracy?
Valid question.
They don't want to have somebody on the ballot because they don't think they can beat him fair and square, so they knock him off the ballot?
Exactly.
But, Trace, this is so anti-democratic. I hope the Supreme Court strikes this down. But this is the violation of the norms, and you can't complain that Trump violates the norms when the Democrats go out and do the exact same thing, even worse in this instance, themselves.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting, Juan, because you have in Colorado, you have the Colorado Republican Party that is trying to appeal, trying to get this thing taken away before the Supreme Court jumps in on this. And you have a lot of people saying, even the Secretary of State saying, you know what, Trump is guilty of insurrection, but he's not. And that's a key part of this whole thing.
Wasn't charged.
Well, that's a key point. Now, the contrary point, Trace, is that it doesn't require in the Constitution a conviction. It's that someone would have participated in an insurrection. And I think that what you're getting here is, though, that it's pretty clear that the Republican base is responding to this as somehow their rights to vote for Trump being taken away from them, and it's giving the Trump campaign a boost in the Republican primary. This is doing no damage to Trump in terms of the immediate political consequences.
I gotta tell you guys, from what I've been looking at, the Queenie, hello, my love, hello. I did DAX, Dear God, at the beginning. You might want to watch that at a later date if you want. I like his tie. It's my color. I love purple. But the video I did, that was the huge, I mean, it's like a nuclear explosion blew Trump even farther up in the, I don't know, polls or esteem of voters or I don't know what. But it's just, yeah.
And his argument is all about, Democrats or the establishment trying to take away his right to run for president. The other question, I guess, is Republican parties around the country, the Republican Party in Colorado, challenging the Supreme Court ruling there, And the question again is, do donors really think that their money should be going to a GOP party to represent Donald Trump or to get Republicans elected?
Yeah, and it's interesting because I want to put this map up on the screen, Olivia, so we can all look at it. These are the states with active litigation to ban Trump from the ballot. Clearly, it's not going to happen in all of them, but there are a bunch. And you look at what's happening across the country, and Juan makes a fair point there, is that it feels a little like the former president's due process is being taken away.
Well, that's sort of what the onus of the Supreme Court is going to have to decide, is whether they're going to weigh in and you just can disqualify a presidential candidate, one who is expected to be, the one winning the general nomination.
Any band, you're right. I saw that. 50% of illegals, when they were asked, said they would vote for Trump. Fucking A. But it doesn't matter because they shouldn't fucking be here anyway. And they will never be able to vote. Never be able to vote. I kind of blurred that together.
Nomination of a party, or if the courts decide, but it's going to be, lawyers are asking for an expedited answer as these other decisions await the courts in different states. And I think we're going to, probably be seeing a decision hopefully before March, where you see a lot of primaries. But even then, we have primaries coming up just in next month.
We should hope so. Let's move on now to the rest of the candidates, because Nikki Haley was asked this. We played it a couple of times, but it's important to watch it again. Nikki Haley was asked during town hall about the Civil War, and she said this. Watch.
I think the cause of the Civil War was basically how government was going to run, the freedoms and what people could and couldn't do.
In the year 2023, it's astonishing to me that you answer that question without mentioning the word slavery.
What do you want me to say about slavery?
That was the basis for the Civil War!
Very quickly, Nikki Haley tried to clean that answer up a little bit. Watch this and I'll get your response, Ari.
We want every person to have the freedom of speech, religion, to live their life in any way without anyone doing anything to hamper that. That's what this was about. So if it required clarification of saying, yes, the Civil War was about slavery, I'm happy to do that. But look, I know it very well. I'm the Southern governor.
When a candidate says if it requires clarification, Ari, that's a walkback. And it's plain and simple, that is clearly a walkback. What are your thoughts?
Agreed.
Well, it was two bad answers. And the second answer, what do you want me to say about slavery? The answer should have been immediately, slavery was an abomination.
Yeah.
That, you don't say what you want me to say, you say it. But look, Chase, I think this is going to be a tempest in the teapot for most Republican voters. The mainstream media is going crazy on this issue. The Democrats want to go crazy on this issue. But the worst statement any candidate ever made was Joe Biden. When Joe Biden, running for vice president against Mitt Romney, gave a speech where he said, Republicans want to put you all back in chains. So if you want to talk about the use of slavery and threats against the other party, the worst thing you could possibly say, Joe Biden accusing Republicans of wanting to support slavery. I'll condemn that all day long. That is a far more serious statement that Joe Biden made than Nikki Haley's flub.
I want to play this. This is Ron DeSantis on Nikki Haley's statement. Watch.
I noticed that...
Wait. So, we had the main thing at the beginning, but now we had what Nikki Haley said. And now we're going to have what DeSantis said about Nikki Haley after they chimed in on what Nikki Haley said. What the fuck?
That Nikki Haley has had some problems with some basic American history. She's asked a very simple question and responded with just really incomprehensible word salad about this and that.
Is it a fair point, Juan? I've got about a minute left. I'd like to get both you and Olivia.
What are you going to ask him for?
Well, I think this is all a commentary on the sad state of discourse about race in the Republican Party. Nikki Haley's trying to avoid being called woke by DeSantis and any of her critics. She wants to make sure that she's not seen as being too open to the idea that slavery caused the Civil War, which, I mean, it's just basic history.
Duh.
Yeah, a quick wrap up to you, Olivia. I'm just concerned if you think Ron DeSantis going into Iowa in the caucuses in a couple of weeks, does he need to come in a strong second or leave it all behind?
I mean, he does, and Nikki Haley has been really kind of pushing up against him, but this is the fight for second place, as we all know. And of course, he's sitting there trying to take jabs at Haley. They've been going at each other with Donald Trump at, some polls indicating he has a 50-point percentage lead.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that with them taking shots over this issue.
So here is my thing about all of that bullshit just happened. What the hell are people doing? Why is everything so frigging it's just everything is out there in space just floating. Nobody's doing anything. I don't know. I can't get the stuff that's in my head to come out. I read earlier, this just popped in my head. Don Jr. will do everything he can, talking to his dad, to make sure that Haley isn't the vice president choice. I did read that. That was funny. When you've got bullshit going on, you don't want to just stand there and let it roll over you. You want to freaking do something about it. And CJ Pearson, who I've been following since he was a kid in freshman in high school, is when he started doing his stuff on YouTube. He asked a question, and it was a valid question. But I asked him, I said, yeah, these crazy, disgusting people. Exactly. Well put, Chris. That's well put. I don't know anymore as to what the crap is, what can be believed, what can't be believed. Why do I have to do so much research myself just to get the information that I want to know where I stand in the country right now? Here's my flag. And then Craig's flag underneath. Okay, so that was bad. All right. Today, I did watch this with Russell Brand. This is some scary shit. So we gonna watch this. Because, y'all,
to amplify the message of the powerful while simultaneously crushing dissent whenever it appears. It's almost as if there's a hidden cartel of legacy media organisers behind the scenes agreeing on what to tell you and what to crush.
What?
There is. Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Thanks for joining me on our mutual voyage to truth and freedom. Today, we're going to be looking at the Trusted News Initiative, a global organisation, to a degree state-funded, to a degree corporate-funded, that comprises incredibly powerful media organisations.
Hold on. Look at all of that. All of these are part of this Trusted News Initiative that... Oh, wait till you guys hear this shit. This
so
is some
that they
scary
can coordinate
shit.
in order to amplify particular stories and crush dissent when necessary. You'll be aware of this phenomenon whenever you see a news story break and every single legacy media outfit uses the same words, the same language, takes the same position. This is a result of the trusted...
We've seen that. Who hasn't seen that?
Uses the same words, the same language, takes the same position. This is a result of the Trusted News Initiative's decision to amplify the message of the powerful, to regard one another as allies, and to crush independent media at all costs. This, I think, is a necessary and significant move as independent media grows in power and is able to shift the narrative on a variety of subjects. For example, the pandemic. Do you really think there'd be a COVID inquiry in the UK? Such a drop-off in the uptake of COVID booster shots may be questioning the budgeting of the the Ukraine-Russia war were it not for the rise of independent media. Have you noticed how significant independent media voices, whether it's Bobby Kennedy, Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and of course me, have been subject to incredible and ferocious attacks? And I'm going to take this opportunity to address some of the attacks of a couple of months ago and how they happened and some curious information behind them, as well as looking at the Trusted News Initiative in a little more depth, how they're funded, what their goals are, how they came about, who's in it, and why they use the word trusted as part of their name, almost as if you shouldn't trust them at all. One of the great examples of propagandization in recent years, so extraordinary and immersive you may even have forgotten it happened, was of course the campaign to ensure that everybody got vaccinated during the pandemic era, which in retrospect looks like it may have been a little presumptuous in terms of vaccine efficacy, adverse events, the shaming of people that were vaccine hesitant, not to mention the efficacy of lockdown.
What's up? Hold on. You're hearing an echo. Is anybody else hearing an echo, or is it just Craig? Because I haven't changed anything at all since last time. I mean, the mic's here, the speaker's here, it's coming in. I don't know. I apologize if you've got an echo. I don't know where it's coming from because I haven't moved anything as far as where everything is on the desk. There's only one place where the sound's coming from, and that's the speaker that the microphone's next to. You got an echo too. Shit. All right, hold on. Let me see something. Maybe something. All right. How's that? Still got an echo? No, I'm not set up like that actually, Chris. The microphone is actually what's getting the sound of the video into, it's coming from the speaker that's standing next to the microphone. It's weird because I'm not playing the video anywhere else. It's only on, like, right here. It's so weird. I'll figure it out. I apologize.
Social distancing, mask wearing, a lot of questions were overridden and a lot of people were willing to go with the dominant narrative, perhaps because of an extraordinary $15 billion campaign that seemed to be designed to catch every single cultural demographic without fail. You may have forgotten how immersive it was, so have a look at this.
President Biden's chief medical advisor says people need...
All right, how is it right now? Because I don't want y'all to miss anything. Because this is scary. This is some scary shit. I'm not gonna... All right, good. I changed the microphone direction. Thank you. I'm so glad I fixed it. All right, this is where the crazy shit starts.
That seemed to be designed to catch every single cultural demographic without fail. You may have forgotten how immersive it was, so have a look at this.
President Biden's chief medical advisor says people need what he calls trusted messengers.
The White House has now recruited TikTokers, YouTubers,
including some very big celebrities, on how to direct their followers to trusted vaccine content.
Build is one of the largest public education campaigns ever. The goal, convince Americans, get the COVID vaccine.
It's vaccination day. It's vaccination day. It's vaccination day.
Today I get my COVID jab, and I'm feeling really fab. For months I have been waiting for this day.
R-O-N-A-V-I-R-U-S-19. Masked up with my team to smash back the disease, and we dreamed about the day that we'd have a vaccine.
Whether you're a fan of Disney movies or hip-hop, there's something for everyone.
And now that human-made miracle is finally here.
It's Megan Thee Stallion, Ariana
Megan Thee Stallion,
and Jimmy Fallon. Y'all know what time it is. It's time to get those boosters.
Ain't no real life, you need to vax that thing. You're feeling freaky all night, you need to vax that thing.
Do you see what that shirt said?
Or hip-hop. There's something for everyone.
Oh, man.
It's time to get those boosters.
Ain't no real life, you need to vax that thing. You're feeling freaky all night, you need to...
Look at that fucking shirt. Wow. Look at this fucking commercial. Holy shit. I didn't see all these commercials, but I do all of my stuff that I get is from streaming. I got Hulu, Netflix, and, you know, yeah. Chris, exactly. That's a double face palm right there.
If you wanna get sticky and hot, go get the shot. Grab your syringe, but make sure you clean it and stick it in me like you really mean it. It sounds so sexy to inoculate.
It's almost as if it was designed to capture every conceivable market and every conceivable audience to direct them towards particular outcomes. I'm going to be telling you a little more about the Trusted News Initiative, as well as addressing a spate of news stories around me a couple of months ago, which were incredibly impactful and led to the government in our country demanding or requesting that I was demonetized by a number of...
When he says government in our country, he's referring to the UK. The UK went to everybody and wanted him demonetized, and YouTube did it.
Social media platforms, some of whom complied, which appears on some level to have been deeply coordinated and to a degree involved pharmaceutical companies in a way that is surprising. Before I get into the Trusted News Initiative and the personal impact of this phenomena, let's remind ourselves of how effective totalitarian and immersive media coverage can be.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these things are true without checking facts.
Every single one of these friggin' screens, they're all saying the same thing. Any band, you gotta be shitting me.
First, unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. There are two things that are significant here. One, how do you get that many distinct media organizations to say the same thing? And two, do you notice what they're talking about? Misinformation, malinformation, and information sources that cannot be trusted, i.e. independent media. How is it that we've arrived at such a homogenized and concerted media space? The trend towards consolidation in the media industry has had a profound effect on who controls media content. As much as 90% of US media is owned by the following 6 companies: Comcast, Disney, AT&T, Paramount, Sony, and Fox. This is how it's possible to create a coordinated media attack against anybody who tries to convey alternative information or information that might be challenging to the interests of the powerful.
Ivermectin is something more often used to deworm horses.
Rogan telling his 13 million Instagram followers that he was treated with several drugs, and he included ivermectin on the list, a drug used for livestock.
Rogan said the word ivermectin. Yes, that's the deworming medicine made to kill parasites in farm animals.
So things are clearly bad, but they're being made even worse by people who have refused to take the vaccine.
This bitch
and
needs to shut that
instead
hole
are
up.
swallowing horse paste.
Wait a second. He said that he got better because he ate cattle dewormer.
We have individuals like Joe Rogan, for example, who don't want to take an experimental vaccine but will take horse dewormer.
Joe Rogan,
Did you notice right there? He said doesn't want to take an experimental vaccine. But
came down with COVID. He says he's been taking the livestock dewormer.
Suppose in an instant like that, you have to ask, what is the drive behind all of that punditry, condemnation, the continual use of phrases like horsewormer and horse paste? Is it a concern for the American population, their well-being and health, or are there other possible motivations? Are there other possible ties between legacy media and big pharma? Now think about what we've learned in the interim period about vaccine efficacy, vaccine injury, natural immunity, vitamin D, continuing with exercise, going outside. There clearly was room for a conversation, but it seems that what Joe Rogan said to, as they always announce, his enormous audience was somehow detrimental to the interests of, for example, the legacy media and big pharma. But is there an intrinsic relationship between the legacy media and big pharma?
Brought to you by Pfizer.
CBS Health Watch, sponsored by
Pfizer. Anderson Cooper 360. Brought to you by Pfizer.
ABC News Nightline. Brought to you by Pfizer. Making a difference. Brought to you by Pfizer.
CNN Tonight. Brought to you by Pfizer. Early Start. Brought to you by Pfizer. Friday night on Aaron Burnett Out Front. Brought to you by Pfizer.
This Week with George Stephanopoulos is brought to you
by Pfizer.
So, Joe Rogan, while conducting a series of conversations with experts on coronavirus and experts on vaccines and dissenting voices, it appears, inadvertently or otherwise, challenged the interests of the powerful, whether that's the government, the legacy media, or big pharma.
Everybody.
Other people that have challenged, perhaps not to the same degree as Joe Rogan because of the enormous size of his audience, but in a way that is evidently significant and has drawn their attention, includes, well, me. And it was very similar to that montage earlier. The news stories all use the same language. How is it that disparate global news organisations can always find an on-message attack for any dissenting voice when it's convenient? Almost as if they're controlled by the same advertising and marketing imperatives, they have deep state affiliations, and possibly, even beyond that, there's a global cartel cooperating together in order to ensure that there's only one dominant narrative and independent voices are shut down. There is. It's called the Trusted News Initiative. The Trusted News Initiative is a partnership founded by the BBC that includes organisations from around the globe, including AP, AFP, BBC, CBC, Radio Canada, European Broadcasting Union, the Financial Times, Information Futures Labs, Google, YouTube, The Hindu, The Nation Media Group, Meta, Microsoft, Thomson Reuters, Reuters Institute for the Study of Journalism, The Washington Post, Compass, Indonesia, Dawn Pakistan, India Express, ND TV India, ABC Australia, SBS Australia, and NHK Japan. But otherwise, it's an open shop. During his opening statement to the July 20th meeting of the House Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. described TNI as a news censorship cartel. He went on to describe how it actually operates. Whenever non-mainstream online news publishers report facts or viewpoints deemed by the TNI to be misinformation, TNI members censor, shadow ban, or deplatform those publishers. TNI members collectively hold 90% of the overall social media market, a 90% share of the social networking market, 75% of the video hosting market, and over 90% of the search engine market. This is an incredibly powerful organisation that dominates the new media space and the social media space. And yet independent media has proved to be incredibly effective when it comes to telling alternative stories about the pandemic, geopolitical crises and wars are reported on now in ways that would have been unimaginable just 5 or 10 years ago. You can have Vivek Ramaswamy in the middle of a Republican primary debate say that January 6th was reported on incorrectly, that there were deep state operatives cajoling the crowd into violent action. It's an extraordinary time. The world has changed. There is an ideological war taking place right now. And there are numerous significant voices in independent media spaces, and many of them are making an incredible impact. It's very difficult for me to do this because I'm talking about myself and it seems weird. And I also know that in the past I slept around a hell of a lot and I created conditions where it becomes highly likely that after incredible endeavour, it will be possible to approach numerous people and see if there was any conduct which could be reframed down the line as, instead of ordinary promiscuity, malfeasance. In fact, in his conversation with Piers Morgan, Andrew Tate said this:
"The standard playbook for anybody who speaks up against power is sexual exploitation." Isn't that the normal one they go to? Can't we name like 10 or 15 people right now they hit them with this exact same garbage? Name a full-grown man who's 36 or 37 years old who's not had sexual relations with a woman at some point in the past. And the way the Matrix works is they lie by omission, right? They just hit Russell Brand with it. I think they hit P. Diddy with it this morning. Julian Assange just got hit with it. He's still in the cell.
But lots of people get hit with these allegations and it turns out to be true.
A lot of people get hit with them and they turn out to be false.
Now, I know that a lot of people find Andrew Tate a highly divisive figure, but what he describes there is extraordinary and for me feels very resonant. You have to ask yourself the question, what is the legacy media interested in? Is it feminism? Is it helping vulnerable people? Or is it supporting the interests of the powerful? That's a decision that you can make for yourself. If you consider the legacy media to be a set of interests from around the world that are really interested in investigating important stories, like the way they looked into Epstein and Epstein's client list with such diligence and detail, the way that, for example, they were so intrepid when interviewing Albert Bourla around adverse events and vaccine injuries, the way that they supported people's rights to be inquiring and inquisitive in the vaccine era, the way that they...
Speaking of inquiring and inquisitive, I've been watching and, sticking I've been sticking up for Russell Brand for a while now. I mean, years. Since he has basically, what do they say, red-pilled. He's been red-pilled or whatever the hell. His brain has been unfogged. And a lot of the information that I get is very helpful and very useful. And he's online. He's tracking online like with Tucker Carlson for me. He's not there yet. Tucker's like freaking, but he has turned out to be very, I've known about Russell Brand since, before he was married to freaking Katy Perry, which, God bless him, he survived. Yeah, he's right. What 36-year-old, Andrew Tate, what 36-year-old man hasn't slept with a woman? Or had relations with a woman, as he put it. It's just, and they have the money to go track down all these people, and they just pay the people to say whatever they want them to say. That's how it works. It's like a fucking movie. A really bad movie.
Encourage healthy debate around wars. If you look at how the legacy media generally behaves and the projects it supports, the way that it treats dissent becomes a little more easy to understand, particularly when you recognise that there are significant financial relationships between the pharmaceutical industry and the legacy media. Then on top of that, there's an agreement to crush dissent and propagate information that is favourable through the Trusted News Initiative. By their own admission, members of the Trusted News Initiative agreed to work together and have in fact worked together to exclude from the world's dominant internet platforms rival news publishers who engage in reporting that challenges and competes with TNI members' reporting on certain issues relating to COVID-19 and US politics. Now, on this channel, we consistently reported on the pandemic in ways that might be adverse to exactly these kind of interests. Here's a list of some of the stories and facts we reported. Pharma companies spent just under $8.1 billion last year on ad campaigns. Pharma overtook big tech to become the second largest industry for ad spending in 2023. Of course, I said a lot of things about Big Pharma on this channel. Here's just a few of them. We already know, thanks to the excellent reporting of Li Fang on Substack, that Moderna have been cyber spying on me throughout this period and have published a sort of a fascinating report describing me as high risk. Conspiracists claim Russell Brand was targeted for anti-vaccine beliefs. Russell Brand has a large platform with over 6.6 million YouTube subscribers. They're all very interested in the number of subscribers that people that don't amplify their preferred messaging have. Whilst I would not claim that this is empirical evidence that I've been subject to a collaboration between legacy media organisations and Big Pharma, it does demonstrate that Moderna have curiously employed deep state operatives and are compiling files on people who question their interests, which seems to me to be beyond the remit of vaccine manufacturers. Let me know in the chat if you agree. Elsewhere on the channel, we talked about other complexities, compromises and opportunities for profiteering that took place during that period, in particular ones that were beneficial to the pharmaceutical industry. Pharmaceutical corporations like Moderna and Pfizer made $1,000 of profit every second just from their monopoly control of the COVID-19 vaccine, despite its development having been supported by billions of dollars in public investments. They charge governments up to 24 times more than the potential cost of generic production. The pharmaceutical industry has spent at least 50% more than any other sector on lobbying since 1998. More than 2/3 of Congress received campaign funding from pharmaceutical companies in the 2020 election. Pfizer spent more than $25 million to lobby the federal government to pass legislation to protect and promote its products since the pandemic began.
Lobbying needs to be completely wiped out. It needs to be made illegal. Something. It's just lobbying, this lobbying bullshit and all of that other crap, like people that are in high office or whatever in the White House or in administrations. Once they're done, they go to these big basically war machine companies like Northrop Grumman and stuff like that. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. That's how Nikki Haley went from broke to millionaire. And just no. That shit.
The company doubled its revenue in 2021 from the previous year, raking in $81.3 billion, and in 2022 made over $100 billion, the highest in its history. In the UK, of course, Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister of this country, invested in a hedge fund that supported Moderna a couple of years before the pandemic period, curiously, and Jonathan Van Tant, one of the senior government spokespeople during the pandemic period, has subsequently gone on to work for Moderna. So there are doubtlessly connections between the state, Big Pharma, and the legacy media, and that's before we get into the Trusted News Initiative and their agenda to ensure that when it comes to the pandemic and a variety of other stories, there's the ability to absolutely control the narrative, amplify the interests of the powerful, and shut down dissent. Terms like misinformation and disinformation were not part of the public conversation just a couple of years ago. The type of censorship laws that are being passed now in Ireland, that the EU are lobbying for, and that were passed in this country, the UK, simultaneous to the numerous scandals and campaigns that targeted me, are predicated on the control of misinformation, malinformation, and disinformation. Here are just some things that they considered to be misinformation at the beginning of the pandemic period. For example, TNI members deemed the following to be misinformation that could not be published on the world's dominant internet platforms. Claims that COVID originated in a laboratory in Wuhan, China. Claims that the COVID vaccines do not prevent infection. Claims that vaccinated persons can transmit COVID to others. Claims that compromising emails and videos were found on a laptop belonging to Hunter Biden. Remember for a moment the gleeful hysteria of that musical montage, and then contrast that with what we subsequently know. Now, would we know any of that had it not been for independent media reporting? Significant voices in the space, primarily I would say from the medical and academic establishment, such as Peter McCulloch and Jay Bhattacharya, people that came out and said, you don't vaccinate in the middle of a pandemic. We invented those vaccines. And hey, you're using modelling and saying that it's empirical science. There was all sorts of information, verifiable, important and interesting, that was censored and shut down. By who? Groups like Meta, groups like Google, groups like YouTube. Now, a couple of days into the events that surrounded me, the government in the UK spoke to social media platforms and requested that I be demonetised at a time that they were passing censorship laws that prohibit independent media from reporting on exactly these things. Of course, it would be ridiculous of me to deny, because I've been very public about it, written countless books about it, that I was very promiscuous in the past, which as an older man and a father looked a little bit unsavoury. But to amplify it to the point of criminality is exactly where the legacy media made the crucial jump in order to destroy, in my view, a dissenting voice. The TNI exists to, in its own words, choke off and stamp out online news reporting that the TNI or any of its members preemptorily deems misinformation, the lawsuit states. TNI members have targeted and suppressed completely accurate online reporting by non-mainstream news publishers concerning both COVID-19 on matters including treatments, immunity, lab leak, vax injury, and lockdowns and mandates, and US elections such as the Hunter Biden laptop story. Of course, we've reported extensively on all of those subjects. Presumably, that's why Moderna have been digitally spying on this channel and its content. While the Trusted News Initiative publicly purports to be a self-appointed truth police extirpating online misinformation, in fact, it has suppressed wholly accurate and legitimate reporting in furtherance of the economic self-interest of its members. In fact, that's one of the themes of the pandemic period. Information that was regarded as conspiracy theory a couple of years ago has become accepted scientific fact a couple of years later. I would say we're on the precipice of new conversations around vaccine injury, excess deaths, sudden death syndrome, deaths in young athletes, and potentially a much higher than previously imagined mortality rate around people that took certain medications. That's not something that I would claim with absolute certainty, but it appears that there's data that might support that. And if you have independent media, you can have those kind of conversations. The legacy media and the establishment will ensure that that information is controlled, diluted, and that you get to have sort of what you might call the type of controlled demolition of the UK COVID inquiry, where a few patsies and fool guys will be nominated to take a hit. Oh, this person was an idiot, that person was an idiot, but they won't talk about the Wuhan lab leak theory. They won't talk about Moderna's role and some of the connections between big pharma and state officials and some of the extraordinary profits that have been gleaned and some of the terrible mistakes that have been made and how Boris Johnson seems to magically lose all of his WhatsApp messages. The legacy media is not an independent observer of global events. It is a participant in the maintenance of dominant narratives. Ultimately, I believe all dissenting voices will be discredited and shut down. This is something that there's considerable evidence for, because there have been numerous people cancelled and taken out already. And it was very heartening for me to see the amount of organic support that occurred when those stories started to be leaked, that people were like, this is a bit suspicious. Hasn't Russell Brand always been honest about his past? This seems peculiar and coordinated. Of course, I have a vested interest in you believing my version of events over their version of events. That's absolutely true. But more important than my personal feelings is the evident and obvious global campaign to control and censor information, which you can observe in a spate of laws being passed all over the planet, and the relationships that are evident between big pharma and legacy media and the state, deep state agencies and social media. It's obvious. It's plain. Even if you take me out of it, which obviously I can't do because I am me, it's plain that this is what's happening. And the Trusted News Initiative is one of the sort of quieter, more insidious components in how such a machine can be constructed and can be so effective at controlling information and ensuring that dissenting information is discredited and dismissed. RFK's lawsuit cites several public statements made by TNI members. In March 2020, then senior news controller at BBC News, Jamie Angus, explained TNI's strategy to beat disinformation. Because actually, the real rivalry now is not between, for example, the BBC and CNN globally, it's actually between all trusted news providers and a tidal wave of unchecked reporting that's being piped out mainly through digital platforms. The fact that it's unchecked, if you have a look at some of the fact checkers on Meta and some of the fact checkers on Reuters, you will learn that they are not that objective either. When they talk about unchecked information, they mean open communication. That, of course, can be fallible. There's, of course, times when there are errors and mistakes. But what we're actually talking about here is, do you trust organizations of this nature with plain connections to the pharmaceutical industry, plain connections to the state? Many of these media organizations are state-funded media organizations.
How's about absolutely effing not? No. I don't even trust Fox anymore, really. Jesse Waters is good. I think he's on the up and up, I guess you could say, but there's a lot of jacked up shit that went on with Fox so I don't even trust them anymore. I actually stick to people like Nick Freitas, Russell Brand, obviously Tucker Carlson, Dan Bongino. I've watched Dan Bongino for what, like 5 years now? 4 years now? I don't even know. But yeah.
To discern what information you should have access to. In order to trust them, you would have to believe in your heart that they have your interests in mind when passing the kind of legislation that's being passed right now and in shutting down the kind of stories that they've shut down. And your heart might not be able to take it, possibly because of myocarditis. That's the real competition now in the digital media world. Of course, organizations will always compete against one another for audiences, but the existential threat, I think, is that overall breakdown in trust, so that trusted news organizations lose in the long term if audiences just abandon the idea of a relationship of trust with news organizations. The reason that trust has broken down is because of a demonstrable lack of integrity and authenticity in their reporting. Of course, throughout the pandemic period, but numerous stories recently, whether they are international conflicts or apparent domestic insurrections or stories that have been repressed in order to aid elections, it's plain that you cannot trust the legacy media, primarily because of the manner of their funding, their intrinsic relationship with the state, and the fact that they operate as part of a network of interests that require the submission and compliance of the population rather than an informed, awakened, independent population, which is what independent media advocates for almost inadvertently. Even if independent media is not governed by a spirit of activism, just simply telling people the truth is empowering and enables them to challenge the type of narratives that otherwise become fully immersive and unquestioned. So actually, we've got a lot more to hold us together than we have to work in competition with one another. Explaining how TNI acts as a global media monopoly, CHD President Mary Holland said, that's Children's Health Defence, they couch what they're doing, their conspiracy, to suppress independent media, i.e. the voices of dissent about election information and COVID information, as a need to preserve the trust of the people and upgrade the trust. By censoring independent voices, what they're doing is economic suppression. So we have established that there are relationships between big pharma and the legacy media. We've established that the legacy media, including state-funded media, cooperate globally to ensure that only narratives that they approve are able to reach you. We have seen that through censorship laws across the world, there is a movement to crush independent media and independent thought. And we've seen that numerous independent voices have been smeared and shut down for dissenting against a variety of mainstream media narratives. That there are now a number of high-profile figures who have been subject to very aggressive attacks, of whom I happen to be just one. Ultimately, of course, it's not the independent media itself that's the problem. It's the ability of independent media to affect individuals and create situations of disobedience, dissent, mistrust, activism, personal organisation, the acknowledgement of the sanctity of the individual, the ability of communities to self-organise. Independent media is a genie that has gotten out of the bottle, and they are desperate to put it back in. Of course, I've personally got skin in the game now because I've been subject to incredible attacks inspired by media collaboration and corroboration, media organisations working together to attack me about information that I've always been public and open about, metastasising it into criminality, and now I find myself in a position where it's a little difficult to be objective because I'm somewhat in the middle of it, having been the principal in a global advertising campaign to find people to attack me and make complaints against me. And even though, of course, I'm interested in myself and my family and my community and this movement, what I'm talking about is much more important than that. And time will show us, time will indeed demonstrate, as censorship laws increase, as the power of legacy media increases, as independent media voices are shut down, that something is happening here that is nefarious. And it's clear that whatever it is, it includes the relationship between Big Pharma and the legacy media, the Trusted News Initiative and their power to control global narratives, and most importantly, you and your ability to determine for yourselves what is true, your ability to decide for yourself whether or not you're going to stand up against this kind of repression, suppression, oppression, and tyrannical control of dominant narratives. So I'd like to thank you for your continuing support. Please keep watching our channel. Remember, we stream every day. Have a wonderful holiday season, but more important than that, if you can, please stay free. Hey, thanks for watching.
I mean, did I not say that at the beginning of this video or of this live, where you have to search and do so much more to get actual information that is trusted, that you feel you can trust? That's why when I share with you what I find through who I follow. Dan Bongino, Russell Brand, Tucker Carlson, I don't really, Greg Gutfield's not really news. He's more of a goofball, but watch a little bit of him. And there's so much shit that's not right. I mean, this is 1984 clown world, no joke. What do you say to something like that, though? How does somebody teeny tiny like me not get squished? Because I'm teeny tiny, I think I'm flying around kind of underneath, the radar. I'm hoping it stays that way. Oh, don't forget Benny Johnson. Benny Johnson's does good as well. Got my Benny Johnson. The Brigade. That's what, like y'all are the ground crew. His are the Brigade. The Benny Brigade. But it took time to find these sources that spoke the truth, the actual truth, not the truth that they thought was passable, the actual truth. And the actual truth is ugly. Like we just watched. The actual truth is ugly. Trusted News Initiative. Trusted my ass. Seriously. How is it that there is it took 3 slides for him, did it take 2 or 3 slides for him to list everybody that's part of that TNI? And I noticed that there was no NBC, ABC, and all that in there because I think it was part of the base of it. I don't know, but the thing that was the most mind-blowing, I guess you could say, was the first time when they put up all of the news stations saying the exact same thing all on the screen like that. You can't forget a visual like that. That was brilliant and cut the point across pretty damn quick. And then all of those news organizations that said everything that was the same also were brought to you by Pfizer. I was driving the other day, and there was a concert for something, I forget who, but that was brought to you by Pfizer. Concerts? What in the crap does the vaccine makers, what the hell does that have to do? How is that even connecting to music and culture and stuff like that? They are everywhere. The roots go deep. It's if you take a step back for a second, just sit and think. After what we watched, this shit's fucking nuts. How are we going to fight against this, though? What can we do as American citizens? And this is what I said to CJ Pearson on X. That, well, okay, so what do we do? How do we get stuff like this changed? What do we do? Petitions? What do we do? I mean, it's easy. It's got to be more than just spewing up and giving the information on social media. It's got to be more than that. It's got to be a lot more than that. And I think there'll be a way. It'll get figured out, I'm sure. That's where my frustration is that all I can do is what I'm doing now with, talking to you guys, getting the information that I gather, getting it out to you so you can see it. I put the actual video, like Russell Brand's video. I don't believe in paraphrasing because it doesn't hit as hard as the video that y'all just saw was. You can't tell me that didn't blow your mind just a little bit. Because it did mine. And I knew I needed to show it to you guys. Because I don't know how many of you actually follow Russell Brand. If you even do. For news. So that's why I'm bringing it to you. Because I have the time to do this. That's why I do what I do and get what I get and put what I get together, is because I know it's good information and I want it to get out there. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of you are busy. Some of y'all are up in tree stands hunting. Some of you are, at work fabricating freaking giant things. Everybody's got something that's going on and they don't have the time to watch all of these extra, pulling from all over, That's why I'm doing it, because I can put it out for y'all. That's the only thing I have right now that I can do. And I'm hoping that it helps y'all out even just a little bit. But it's not going to just be news. I can't just do news because that's frigging depressing as shit. That's why I started with DAX first off, because that I have wanted to watch the actual video. I've only heard like the first little bit of the song, and I keep wanting to. So I wanted to start out with that because I wanted to start out with something that was creative and, you know, something that touches the mind of things that we go through and we think about. So DAX, Samson, Mises, Loza, Struggle Jennings, Jelly Roll, all I mean, obviously Tom McDonald. That goes without saying. So I probably should have said him first, but he's like, ugh. I love you guys, and I wanted to make sure that I got this out to y'all. I'm gonna do my best to get stuff out to you that I think is really relevant, that I want y'all to make sure you get in your ear, to at least, you know, put that in there. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and go eat some for dinner. And Penny needs her meds. And Duke needs the CBD. I'm surprised he has not come to the door barking, which he usually does. So I'm going to go look and see if he's passed out on his bed. Because usually, if he's not here, he's asleep. But sleeping is good because sleeping is healing. That's how I'm looking at it. Because he's sleeping a lot. So he must need, you know, the extra sleep. Trying not to freak out about it, basically. Like I said, I love you guys. And thank you for, even if you only watched like a minute, thank you for watching. Thank you for hitting that like button. And even if you share it, thank you for sharing it. Even if you don't share it, thank you for watching it. Doesn't matter when you watch it, how you watch it. There's just so much insanity. I need to be able to get what I find out to y'all. So, like I said, I love you guys. Gotta go eat something. Give doggies their meds. And yeah, I got nothing tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday. So it's gonna be a lazy ass fart day tomorrow. I've got some freaking, I've got to take my A+ 1102, other half of my certification exam. So I do have to do a little bit of work tomorrow, but it's good because I already finished what I had to finish. So fingers crossed I passed that second half. Love you guys. I will most definitely see y'all on the next one.